There are few things more delicious than a warm, gooey cinnamon roll, and today we are making a giant version special for Valentine's Day that's flavored with strawberries. We're using frozen strawberries for the filling. We're gonna make a lovely glaze. We've got some freeze-dried strawberries we're gonna put on top. Oh my gosh, it's going to be so delicious. I'm not a baker, so we are gonna be using Ambitious Kitchen's recipe for the dough today. Otherwise, we're gonna just riff off of that and do our own thing. So first we've got some milk here. You want the milk to be warm but not hot, otherwise it will kill the yeast. So I'm just gonna wait another second while we're waiting for this to cool down. Look at how pregnant I am. I have virtually nothing to wear. It's kind of hard to tell, actually. The thing that I'm really not high in right now is pants that fit. So I've been wearing these like jumpers, pajama pants. I need to get like a few other pairs to hold me over for the next few months. Okay, we're good. So I've got 1 packet of instant yeast. This is Red Star Platinum brand. I'm just gonna sprinkle that right over top. To this, since this is instant yeast, we don't need to wait for the yeast to activate. If you're using active yeast, you will have to wait for the yeast to activate, meaning it will start to bubble and get really frothy and kind of start doubling in size. But we don't have to do that here. So we're gonna add some sugar, some butter melted, and this is salted, but you can use unsalted if you want to like lower the salt content for any reason, but salt really helps balance out the sugar content in the recipe. Okay, so I've got 2 eggs here. We're going to use 1 whole egg and then 1 egg yolk. You can do this in a separate bowl if you're worried about getting eggshells in, but I'm just feeling extra risky today. For the egg yolk though, I am going to crack it in here. You can separate the yolk either by just kind of passing the yolk back and forth between the 2 halves of the eggshell, or you can just do it into your hands, and I think I just broke it, so in it goes. What do I do for the damage? Can save this for a snack, or if you have like a tub of it in your freezer like I sometimes do, you can add to it to make meringue, as long as you haven't tainted it with any yolk. If there's any yolk in the whites, if you're trying to make meringue, it will not whip properly. Okay, so I am just gonna mix this all together with those yolks broken up. And now you'll notice that my giant measuring cup / mixing bowl here is sitting on top of a food scale. So I am going to turn it on at this point. Make sure the units are set to grams. This is just like the easier way to measure flour, because flour can be kind of like measured differently in a lot of different situations. So this makes sure that you get the measurement exact. So I actually have a little bit that I have to finish up in here, and then we've got a new bag. All right, so 360 grams. And to this, we're gonna add a little bit more salt, about 3/4 teaspoon. We are gonna stir this up with a wooden spoon until it's formed a dough ball. And then we're gonna transfer it over here to our mixer with our dough hook to knead it. If you don't have this machine, that's totally fine. You can just knead this all by hand once it comes together into a ball. Oh, how does it already smell so good? I don't know. Oh man. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I kind of just want to add some cardamom, because spoiler alert, we're going to be adding some cardamom to our strawberry jam, which is going to be the filling for our rolls. And I kind of just wanted to infuse the dough. Maybe I should have added it to the flour before. I don't know. I'm not measuring here. We're just experimenting. Oh, that smells so good too. And I like the way that it like leaves little flecks throughout the dough. Okay, so into our stand mixer this goes. I feel like I always have such a hard time doing this backwards. We'll see. I think I did it. Okay. Off to a good start. So we're gonna put this on medium and we're gonna let it go for about 8 minutes. If it's still a little sticky by that point, we can add just like a little bit more flour. Okay, so the dough is kind of sticking to the bottom of the bowl. I think it's a little too sticky. I could be very wrong. Either way, I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. If you don't wanna make your own dough, you don't have to. You could just buy pre-made cinnamon rolls, roll them out, spread your own filling on. Yeah, they might already have like a cinnamon filling, but cinnamon and strawberries go really well together. So I don't really see an issue there. Okay, it's been around 8 minutes. This dough is looking great. Kind of touched it a little bit to see if it would like really stick to my fingers, and it's not. So I'm assuming that means it's good. See, sticky, but not too sticky. Like it's not like completely sticking to me. I think that means we're good. I'm pretty confident. All right, so we've got our dough ball. Now we are going to put this dough in a clean, well-oiled bowl. I'm just gonna use some avocado spray. I'm just going to distribute that oil evenly all over. Ah, it's beautiful. And it's got such a lovely color from the egg yolks. All right, so into our well-oiled bowl it goes. We are going to cover this with some plastic wrap. And we're gonna cover that with a warm towel. So I'm just gonna stick this in the microwave for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds and just drape it right over the top. We're gonna put it in a warm place. You can put it in a cold oven or near a window, and we're gonna wait till it doubles in size. So this should take around an hour to an hour and a half, unless you've used active yeast, and then it might take a little bit longer. So just check on it. And in the meantime, we're gonna make some strawberry chia jam for the inside of the rolls. Okay, the dough is in a cool oven, so while we wait for that to proof, and before we make our jam, I'd like to take a second and thank today's sponsor, Cafe Casino. The Cafe Casino blog is filled with tons of delicious recipes, including the giant strawberry cinnamon roll we're making today, and some others you may have seen from me before. They also have more recipes to celebrate Valentine's Day, which FYI is right around the corner. You're welcome. Aside from recipes, Cafe Casino also has some free-to-play games you can entertain yourself with while your cinnamon roll's rising, and they even have some fun free bingo cards for Valentine's Day bingo, which put a unique numbers-free spin on traditional bingo that's just way more fun. Head to Cafe Casino now at the link in the description of the video to grab yourself some free V-Day bingo cards, and of course to snag today's recipe too. All right, let's get back to the video. Okay, strawberry jam. In this case, strawberry chia jam for some extra protein and fiber and omega-3s. So many good things. So starting out with frozen strawberries, organic. Strawberries are like at the top of the dirty dozen list. They are just covered in pesticides, conventional strawberries. So organic strawberries, super important. And again, we're using frozen today. I really don't like buying fresh organic strawberries from the store. Half the time they look like crap. The other half the time you bring them home, you've got like 12 hours to eat them before they start getting moldy. So frozen strawberries, you don't have that problem. You could just keep them in the freezer for months and they'll look fantastic. This recipe is featured in my cookbook, Everyday Indulgence, by the way. Strawberry chia jam. Actually, it's just chia berry jam. You can make it with raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries. The world is your oyster. Next, we have sugar. I use less sugar in my jam, but by all means, if it doesn't end up being sweet enough for you, you can always add more. Next, we have a lemon. Now, we are going to zest the lemon, but we're not gonna add the zest in quite yet. I'm gonna save the zest for after the jam bubbles away, and then we'll add it along with the chia seeds. I'm gonna go ahead and add some lemon juice. And we're gonna add some cardamom because we added some to the dough. Cardamom and strawberries go so well together. So we are gonna add, why do they do this? Why? I'm gonna add a whole teaspoon. Cardamom has kind of like a lemony kind of flavor to it, so I feel like it goes especially well with lemon too. And we're gonna add a tiny pinch of salt just to like bring out those sweet flavors. Okay, so we are gonna turn this up on high. Give it an initial stir here to get it going. So once this gets heated up, the liquid will start to like release from the berries. It'll start to come to a simmer and then a boil, and we're gonna really boil it down for like 5 minutes or so once it gets to that point. So we'll be back here in a few minutes. Okay, so our jam is looking delicious. It's been boiling for about 10 minutes, a little bit on high, a little bit on low. We're gonna go ahead and turn off the heat now. And if you're using a berry like raspberries or blueberries even, probably don't need to follow through with this next step, but especially since we're making a cinnamon roll and we're using this for the filling, we want it to be more smooth. So we are going to blitz the jam with this hand blender. You can use a regular blender as well. And be careful because this liquid is extremely hot. You do not want it splashing up on you. Okay, that is looking delicious. You can see it's just like nice puree consistency now. So normally jam has pectin in it, or you could add cornstarch. Those are both thickening agents. We are using chia seeds. So adding our chia seeds in now. And we're gonna go ahead and add our lemon zest. Now would be the time to taste your jam and decide if you want to add more sugar, even actually before you add the chia seeds and the lemon zest. It's warm enough that you would not need to like put it back on the heat. So as this cools, the chia seeds are going to kind of gel and they're going to thicken our jam in the same way that pectin or cornstarch would. And once it's cool and thick, we'll be able to spread it onto our cinnamon roll dough. We're gonna reserve some for our topping as well. Speaking of, I am going to go check on our cinnamon roll dough. I think it is almost ready. Okay, now that our dough has definitely doubled in size, and look at how beautiful it is, it's time to roll it out. So I've just got more flour here. And we're going to flour our surface here and a rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can use a bottle of wine and you can drink that bottle of wine. All right. We are gonna roll this out into a big rectangle, 14 by 9 inches. see how we're doing here. Oh, we're about there. I'm gonna get a little bit more length here. I don't know if you guys can see these little flecks. Can you see the flecks? I don't know. I don't know. All right, so our strawberry jam has cooled significantly and it's thickened up nicely. So we are going to add most of this, I think. Right onto our dough. We want to reserve at least a couple of tablespoons. We want a nice, thick but not too thick layer. It's an exact science. I have this lovely tool that Turquoise Kitchen sent to me with her cookbook. Offset spatula. Definitely the time to use something like this. You don't need it. You don't. Just makes it a little bit easier. Okay, so from here, normally if you were just making regular cinnamon rolls, you would roll this dough up tightly, then cut it, and then you'd be left with individual cinnamon rolls to do a second proof. But because we're doing one large cinnamon roll, what I would like to do is go ahead and cut these into 9 equal pieces. We will roll each one up individually and wrap it around the next one. Okay, so I've got a cast iron skillet here. Cast iron skillets are naturally non-stick. If you'd like, you can add some butter to the bottom. You can add some parchment paper. I am just gonna take my chances. So we're going to make some cuts this way. All right, so now with preferably dry hands. Okay, so we're gonna roll this up tightly, but not too tightly, because if you roll these too tightly, that's when the inside of the cinnamon roll can really start like popping out. Okay, so putting that cut side up, that flat side that I cut up into the center. And now, instead of rolling these additional pieces here, going to bring it over thinner side first, and we're just gonna wrap it around. It's looking really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my goodness. Okay, so it's all rolled up and it's ready for its second rise. So you could either just let it rise at room temperature again and then bake it off. I am going to cover it and put it in the fridge overnight for a slow second rise. I'm gonna take it out of the fridge for about 30 to 45 minutes tomorrow before baking it. So I'll see you tomorrow. We can make the glaze, polish this baby off, and dig in. Okay, it is time to make our strawberry cream cheese frosting, which I have a couple of little hacks for. But first, I want to show you our cinnamon roll, which I put in the refrigerator overnight to kind of slow that second rise. Removed from the fridge a little bit ago. It's been sitting out for about an hour, coming to room temperature. So I want to show you that first because I'm about to put it in the oven. Oh, look. Oh my goodness. So it's expanded for sure. It's definitely risen a bit. It's now like taking up like the whole pan. So I'm hoping that it rises up. I'm not a baker. I don't know how many times I've said that in this video, but you know, we're crossing our fingers here. How dare I deviate from a baking recipe, really? All right, so that's going in for like 20-25 minutes at 350 till it's lightly golden brown. We don't want to overdo it because we want it to be gooey and still fully cooked, but anyways, let's get on with it, shall we? I think my butter is like mostly at room temperature. So I've got 4 tablespoons of butter. This is salted butter, but you know, you can use unsalted. We're adding a lot of powdered sugar here, so I don't think a little bit of salt is really that big of a deal. Next, we have a very small amount of cream cheese. I'm using someone else's recipe for this. Obviously, we're using our own jam, homemade jam, but we are deviating a little bit. And this is what I love about other people's recipes, right? You can like look up a recipe that you like, that has great reviews or whatever, and then you can decide, well, instead of all that powdered sugar, I'm gonna use half allulose, which is what we're doing, or I wanna add some collagen, which is also what we're doing. Okay, so for our sugar, we're adding a cup of powdered sugar, but instead of a cup of powdered sugar, we're gonna do a half a cup of regular powdered sugar and half a cup of allulose. Allulose is a naturally derived calorie and sugar-free sweetener. Comes from things like figs, raisins. Not exact. And we are gonna go ahead and add some collagen right now too. I'm gonna just do 1/4 of a cup, and this is gonna add 18 grams of protein. Not gonna add the jam in quite yet. So we wanna get this all creamed up. A little worried it's gonna fly all over me. Start it on low. Low still feels aggressive. Butter probably could have been a little bit softer. Figure it'll soften up right now. Oh, it's got a mind of its own. So I like to just kind of like pull it out while it's still on, to sort of release all those little bitty bits. Okay, so now we are gonna add 2 tablespoons of our strawberry jam. That went on me. I changed my outfit, by the way. I mean, the top is the same. I totally forgot about skirts. The only problem with these, they're good in the front, but you know, it's a real party in the back. My whole shorts section is just out. All right, so I've got some grass-fed milk, just all about those extra nutrients. And we're just doing like a tablespoon. Sure there was an easier way to do that. All right, so we're gonna mix this up. You can always add, can't subtract. So if we need to add a little splashy splash more milk to loosen it up, we can. And we added a little bit more powdery stuff, so it's like, should be maybe slightly thicker than if we didn't add the collagen, but collagen also does a really good job dissolving, so. Honestly, I think that looks great. I'm just gonna get a spatula so we can scrape down the bowl. Just give this a nice scrape. One little more zip. delicious. I mean, don't know if there's a way to just this little guy back in there. I thought I wrapped it loosely, clearly not loose enough, but I think it still looks pretty good. Lightly golden brown. We want to let this kind of chill out for like 10 minutes just so that the icing doesn't just completely melt everywhere. So in like 10 minutes, we'll go ahead and ice. I've got a fun extra special topping, and then it's time to try this. I hope you're excited. I'm a little nervous, if I can be honest. It's been cooling for about 10 minutes. I was able to clean everything up in the meantime. Lovely. So I'm just going to kind of pour this icing over the top. I've got my offset spatula to sort of spread it on. Let's do this. I will say that in the future, for cream cheese frosting, I'll probably just whisk by hand because it seems to be really easy to separate. That's looking really good. There's something about icing on a hot cinnamon roll, the way it just sort of drapes, blankets, coats, the whole thing. It's just like, makes me real happy. Let's just take a second for the cinnamon roll. Wow. Oh my God. Okay, so extra special topping. We have some freeze-dried strawberries. And let's see, 1 package of these, so kind of a lot of them. We're not gonna use all of it. 4 grams of fiber, 2 grams of protein, 90 calories. Boom, 140% of your vitamin C for the day. These should be easy to just crush up. Oh, so satisfying. A light sprinkling, just wanna like dust it. You know what I mean? Oh my goodness. It looks so festive. And I love the color out of these freeze-dried berries too. I feel like strawberry, like the color can get kind of muted and stuff like this, but adding these freeze-dried strawberries is just really adds some oomph. Oh my gosh, guys, it looks so good and so beautiful. It's perfect for Valentine's Day. I cannot wait to try it. Okay, I made myself some strawberry milk. It's just okay, it's not sweet enough. I added some frozen strawberries, some of the freeze-dried strawberries, the remaining jam, which I was expecting there to be more of, but I told you I had to remake the icing. So I could have used more jam, maybe some agave, sweeten it up a bit, but everything just went in a blender, so it was pretty easy otherwise. Okay, so I feel inclined to just eat the center because that's the best part. I mean, oh, it's very good. And I think it would also be so good with cinnamon too. Almost like a strawberry shortcake type situation. I will say that the inner layers here didn't really fully cook. And I am not gonna take a chance eating undercooked dough. That being said, just throw this back in the oven, like the inside. These outer layers are cooked, so that's what we're gonna go for. The icing is so good. Sweet enough for sure, definitely strawberry-y. This dough is, like the cooked portions of it are so soft and fluffy. Mmm. Yeah, the dough recipe is a keeper. I'm curious if maybe I didn't leave the dough out long enough, that maybe the outside rings were able to like really come to room temperature and the inside rings like hadn't had a full chance to come to room temperature. Maybe that's why they didn't bake all the way. But the outside rings are actually like, they're not dry at all, which, you know, normally you have a cinnamon roll, like, or at least me, like I kind of avoid the outside edges because they're like dry, but you want it all to be like the inside of the cinnamon roll. And in my opinion, the outside is like the inside in the cinnamon roll, except the inside, you know, if it were baked. Oh my gosh. Okay. You guys know how I feel about eating too much sugary food. So I am gonna call it. I might have just like actually this tiny, one more tiny little piece. I can't whistle. I can't. What's wrong? So good. So good. Really nice change from just a basic cinnamon roll, though obviously classic cinnamon rolls, there's a reason they are so addictingly good. I didn't taste very much cardamom, so next time I'll probably add a little bit more cardamom. Flavor wise, everything's amazing. Just have to sort out why some of these inner layers didn't completely bake. All right, guys, that's it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Lindsay's baking adventures. It's always kind of a risky experience, but also a learning experience. I would like to be a better baker. So what better way to become a better baker than to force myself to bake? Because that's what I have to do right now, force it. But someday I will like genuinely feel confident and look forward to baking. At least that's the idea anyways. Thank you guys so much for joining today. Tell me how you liked this video in the comments below. The recipe, I'm going to include the recipe for the dough, the recipe link for the jam, which is my cookbook, and there will also be just another link for just the whole process that I used today, along with instructions that are supposed to work from other people, so you guys can make it yourselves at home. Also, you could just make regular cinnamon rolls. You don't have to make a giant cinnamon roll if you don't want to, though I think it looks like super beautiful and impressive. It's like a giant rose. What's better for Valentine's Day? All right, thank you guys so much for joining today again. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.